Maybe lost somebody. Alrighty. We'll give it about a minute. Okay. Let's see. Nice picture. I like it. It's pretty. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, the topic is going to be regarding online versus in person for, I guess, learning in a sense. And it's going to be more of a discussion based kind of meeting. So I do expect everyone to provide their input as this is a learning process for everyone and just to learn from others, to express your concerns, and possibly expressing your concerns can give some thoughts to others to, oh wow, I didn't think of it that way, or this is a plus or minus, pro or con to um, online versus in person and how we feel about that topic. So I'm going to have some prompts. We're going to kind of give our thoughts about it and we're going to grow from there, okay? All right, so I'm going to share my screen. All right, can everyone see that? I think I can see some. All right, yeah, okay, I see some thumbs up. Perfect. Alrighty, so as I mentioned before, in-person versus online, we are going to be looking at the positives and concerns of both. All right, so just introduce myself. My name is Alicia Frederique. You can call me Miss Alicia. I go by Miss Frederique, so my name is Alicia Frederique. I am currently studying for a master's in clinical mental health at Kane University, and I am interning here at HCC's EOF program. So something random about me is I love rabbits. So I have a little picture of the little rabbit on there. I like to say I'm a mom, I guess, of that, but I do own a mini lop. So they're those kind of rabbits that have little floppy ears and always had a love for rabbits. So that is something random just to kind of break the ice about just random things. I like to start off with that. All right. Okay, so breaking even with online versus in person. So the biggest thing about college is accessibility. Do you have access to the class that you want? Do you have access to the class that you need? And with both, they provide challenges. But however, online, it's kind of challenged that traditional sense of how you are able to access your classes. Now, we're online, we have different platforms we can use, we have technology on our side in a different kind of perspective versus accessibility being you go to physically to a classroom, you go to a college, you go wherever you are to meet in person with the professor, with teachers, with students, with whoever you're meeting with. That can be a problem for some people. Some students aren't able to attend due to possibly time constraints. Maybe their job runs into a certain time. Maybe they have different constraints that they aren't able to go to a place physically. Maybe they have transportation issues. And so that is something that we can kind of relate to. I'm pretty sure everyone can relate to at some point in our time that we can't make certain things. And so online kind of gives that. However, in person has its own plus and minuses. Um, Online offers learning opportunities to more individuals. So compared to in person, class sizes aren't restricted to how many desks are available. So I'm pretty sure you've probably had that moment where you want to register for a class. I remember in undergrad where I wanted a class, however, there was only 30 desks. And if I wasn't able to meet in that 30 desk restriction, I wasn't taking that class. And so online, yes, there is a cap. However, you're not limited to space. You're limited to possibly how many the teacher can work with. This allows the ability for people to take classes in their home in any space they find they're more comfortable. Maybe there's different places you can take classes. You can go outside if you wanted to, and there's no commute. So this is something that I wanted to try to bring to you guys. Have you ever had that problem before? And do you feel that that's an issue now? Like if you wanted to do online classes, do you find this a positive or do you find this a negative in that you want in-person classes? So I like to open it up to everyone to get some feedback, see how you guys think about accessibility. Omar, I see the thumbs up. All right, you raised your hand. Are you not able to speak? Let me see.
Yeah, I can come off mute, but I was just trying to. I thought maybe some people were online before me, but yeah, I think it's cool to have, that access, virtually. You can do a lot of things. You can, you know, basically, get into a lot of different things. I mean, you can manage school, you can manage work, you can manage, other obligations that you have going on. So I think that's one of the pros about, going to school online. But I think one of the cons is it takes away from, that in-person experience. For me personally, I like to see my professor, I like to see my classmates, I like to feel the energy of the room. Um, it just helps you build those communication skills. It helps you maintain your assertiveness. So, although there are some benefits to, being in class online, but I think that, once everyone gets vaccinated, I think we should be in person.
That's a good point. Thank you for sharing. Garcelle, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I do. I agree with Omar in terms of the comfortability of being at home and in terms of being not being able to get the hands-on experience that we usually get. Um, I also feel like when I was online with my online classes, I feel like sometimes it's just like super hard for me to connect with other classmates that I have. So it's if I have like a day where I can't go to class or I can't do something like that, if I'm in school, it's like I can talk to someone and be like, can I borrow your notes today? Or, would you be able to send me over what we did today in class if I'm unable to, be there? So it was kind of hard in terms of that. But being able to have the comfort of my home, that was a nice opportunity, I should say, not better, but a nice opportunity. But I do miss being around other people and getting to know other people because COVID quarantining is kind of lonely sometimes. So
Yeah. Well, that is a good point as well. I mean, in person, there's a different learning style. In person, you are able to directly ask someone for assistance versus emailing them or other means of going online. So there are the pros and cons of both. Thank you both for sharing. All right. So another thing with accessibility is it can connect people from around the world. Um, I've met people in some of my classes that are not even in the country, but they're in a different country and they're learning through online. So that is another thing also that could help, and it gives that ability or that opportunity to people. Okay. So here's some limitations that I was trying to brainstorm about, but if you have any more, please do let me know and we can talk about it. So what I have here is that both teachers and students have to adapt and learn a new set of skills, otherwise not required for in-person settings. And this could slow down the learning process for some topics. So this came to mind because when COVID first happened and the pandemic first happened and everything shut down, a lot of parents had to learn how to use a different type of learning style, teaching their children. I've heard from some of them say, I'm not a teacher. That's what the teacher's for." But now they're thrown into this responsibility, and everyone is put on the same learning curve. Some people are able to pick it up faster than others, and some aren't. And so that is a limitation that I thought with online, and that not everyone is able to adapt quickly and then learn these new set of skills and try to get things done in the way that it was before everything was kind of put online. So, does anyone have any thoughts about this? Can't see someone in this. Hi, Lisa. So, for those just joining, um, we're talking about some of the limitations that online versus in person. So, online has for students, for individuals, for teachers, and what are the pros and cons of both online versus in person. So, we discussed some of the pros of being online and the con possibly not having that face to face or ability to speak with someone directly. So those are some of the topics that were raised. It's okay, Lisa, don't worry about it. As long as you're here, that's all that matters. So I'm just opening it up for discussion for if you have a thought, if you have some concerns that you want to share, possibly we can bounce off each other our thoughts and what we really think about what's happening. You're welcome. So, how do you feel this could slow down the learning process for some individuals learning a new set of skills? Anthony?
Yeah, I think definitely what Omar and Gracie were talking about being in person. We get to use our hands, a lot of emotion. It's definitely a different way of teaching for the teachers because I know, especially in some classes, it might be more difficult to say something but not be able to show your body language as well. Like let's say if it's a speech class, they might want to try to teach them uh, how to present themselves and stuff, but you're in front of a computer screen. It's kind of different than a math class where it's more technical. You're just seeing things. I don't
Mm.
know if that makes sense. Like
No, it
it's
makes
harder
sense.
for the teachers to express themselves. They have to find a different way.
They have to find a new approach to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be difficult. Thank you so much for sharing, Anthony. I seen in the chat that Garcelle mentioned she had to teach her daughter all of her schoolwork and how hard it was for her daughter to stay focused and active. Exactly. I've met with a lot of parents. Some of my coworkers are parents of 3 and 4 and 5 children, and they're each different grades and having to keep a 4 or 5-year-old in one spot and teach them something. That's very difficult. And imagine them going to school as well and having to use possibly one computer. So that is something that you probably wouldn't have thought about if we were pre-COVID. Oh, someone posted something a lot. Assad, wonderful. Let me read this. Okay. So what are the advantages of online learning? So Assad put in the chat, I'm not sure if everyone can see this, the advantages of online learning is efficiency. So online learning offers teachers an efficient way to deliver lessons to students. Online learning has a number of tools such as videos, PDFs, podcasts, and teachers can use all these tools as part of their lesson plans. By extending the lesson plans, by extending the lesson plan beyond traditional textbooks to include online resources, teachers are able to become more efficient educators. Wow, that is very true, and especially with we have a lot of those tools. We had them beforehand, but now with being online, really those are the tools that we have. So that is something too to consider. Okay, it continues on to accessibility. Let's see, accessibility of time and place. Another advantage of online education is that it allows students to attend classes from any location of their choice. It also allows schools to reach out to a more extensive network of students instead of being restricted by geographical boundaries. That's something also. Additionally, online lectures can be recorded, archived, and shared for future reference. Let's see. This allows for, I'm sorry, I seen something else. This allows for, oh no, my messages went away. Hold on. Wow, this is really good, Asada. Are you unable to explain this over on the mic, or you're only able to put in the chat? See, I'm not sure, but I'll continue reading it because it's very informative. Let's see. This allows students to access the learning material at a time of their comfort. So he's referring to um, recordings. Thus, online learning offers students the accessibility of time and place in education. So affordability. Let's see. Another advantage of online learning. Yeah, I mean, prices can possibly change also. So that is something as well. All right. Okay. So you're only able to put it in the chat. Okay, that is fine, but thank you so much for adding that in the chat. That added a few things that possibly we didn't think about, especially the geographical boundaries. As I mentioned before, there are some students who aren't in the country at the moment. They're possibly, I know some who are in Colombia. I know some who are in Japan. So having that ability and possibly things are recorded, they can wake up at a certain time and still be able to attend the class. So that is something pretty awesome. All right, let's see. What are some disadvantages? Okay, so a bit inability to focus on screens. Okay, how many people have had that concern, inability to focus, especially with everything being online? Because that is something that I noticed a lot of students are having problems with. Is that it's hard to focus on screens. Miss Maria put a thumbs up, yeah. Especially your eyes get tired. I noticed I noticed glasses. Some individuals have to get like a blue film for their glasses, or they need glasses because their eyes are starting to wear down from staring at the screen for so long. So that is something else as well. Let's see. All right, for many students, one of the biggest challenges, so this is Assad putting in the chat. Let's see. For many students, one of the biggest challenges of online learning is the struggle with focusing on the screen for long periods of time. With online learning, there is also a greater chance for students to be easily distracted by social media and other sites. True. So that is something also I want to ask this for everyone. How many of you, while you're on the computer, you're doing schoolwork, got a notification, maybe you took a break and you fell down like a YouTube hole, like a YouTube rabbit hole? That's what I've heard it's called. Have any of you felt that way, where you just kind of branch off just for a moment and then you think that moment isn't just 5 minutes, it turns into a little bit longer? Let me see. I'm pretty sure a few of you have. I think I lost my, let's see, technology issues. So that's something we'll talk about later on too, is technology issues. Let's see, and sense of isolation. That's something also students can learn a lot from being in the company of their peers. So being in an online class, they may not have that physical interaction as they would with being in a physical class. So as Garcelle mentioned, being in class, you can ask your neighbor next to you, hey, can I borrow your notes? So that's something that can be missing as well with online versus in person. Okay, let me keep looking down. Let's see. Miss Maria, I'm sorry, I think I don't understand your comment.
Oh, no, I
What?
was responding to Max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said I don't keep my phone with me when I'm in class, and I said that it's a good thing. Phone can be a distraction.
Okay. Max, do you mind if I ask what made you not have your phone in class?
I just find it a distraction.
Okay.
It takes away from you focusing on what you have to do.
Okay. It's simple. It's pretty much it's a good thing not to have, especially with the vibration. You can turn it on vibrate. It's still gonna vibrate. It's still gonna buzz. It can draw your attention from what you need to do at the moment. So definitely.
Well, I figure if it's important, they'll leave a message, and if not, so be it.
All right. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Assad, for like that was very good as you were able to hone in on those different things. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so this goes on to I guess more online limitations. So question, can online classes deliver the same high standard as its in-person counterpart? So what I meant by this question is, say a in-person class, there's the syllabus, there's groups, there's these different assignments that you have to do, and now they put it on an online platform. So do you feel that it is the same or is it different? Let me see, I see something in the chat. So iPhone, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is, but they say it's different. So how so? So iPhone mentioned that it's different. So does anyone think that it's different or that it's similar? Okay, Lisa said definitely different because you feel like staying at home is forever. Okay, what do you mean by that, Lisa?
Like because I have my responsibilities at home, and I cannot go anywhere else while taking care of the kids that I'm in charge of.
Okay, so your responsibilities to home are at home, and then school is at home, so it feels like you're at home forever.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, iPhone, it's not the same learning as in person. Okay, so that's how it's different. Okay. So the next question, is there any interactivity among students and professors? So what's the difference between online and in person? Do you feel that there is the same amount of interactivity? So are they communicating? Are they, imagine if you were in person, how you could talk to the professor and they would respond back, how you can talk to other classmates. Is that the same in person or is it different online, or is it similar? So that's, what are similarities and what are some differences amongst I guess, communication between students to students and students to professors?
Um, it's different because before, like my first semester, I think one of my classes, like we had to partner up and like interact, um, and like sometimes interact with other people. When it comes to online, I don't interact with other people.
Okay. So you found that it's more, you find yourself not as spoken versus when you're in class, you're able to communicate versus when you're online, you're not able to communicate as much.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
And as for my opinion, like when you are doing like homework online, you have to send the email to the teacher, but usually like sometimes like the teacher takes a one business day or the next business day to respond to that email. But when you are in the class, and that situation is different, the teacher responds immediately to the answers which you are asking for.
That's a good point. Exactly. I mean, with everything being online, teachers probably aren't able to respond as quickly, obviously, as they would if you address them in person in class. They see you, they're like, okay, I have knowledge, let me just tell you. Versus now you're online, there's possibly a bunch of emails, different things are taken into effect. So I understand. All right, in the chat, I see, let's see. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Is it Juliana? Not sure if I said that correctly. Well, let's see. Ms. So Ms. Rivera said, no, most people keep quiet when class is remote. Almost no one participates. Yeah, that can happen too. And Garcelle, you mentioned online. I feel like people stay quiet because they don't want to interrupt or get put on the spot. All right. So Garcelle, what would you be able to explain that a little more?
Yeah, I can explain it. I feel like it's when I'm online and I'm like listening to one of my professors or whatever, I sometimes want to say something, but I don't want to interrupt the lesson because it's like you're not physically in person. It's kind of easier for you to speak when you're physically in person with someone than it is to speak to someone that you can't even see. So I feel like sometimes I stay quiet so that I just let the lesson go through, and maybe at the end of the day I might stay back if they have time. But I also feel like in Zoom you realize that when someone starts talking, their picture and everything shows up on the side of the screen. And I feel like some people get shy when it comes to having their whole face like in front of everyone's phones. And I feel like that's another reason why people stay quiet. But I don't feel like online classes deliver the same standard as the in-person counterpart, because it's like a lot of people aren't savvy with working online and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's the same thing as being in person. It's like it's up to you if you want to get a good grade, or it's up to you if you want to do what you have to do or learn what you have to learn in order to get to where you have to go. But at the same, it's a win-lose situation. So
Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. Jaquita, she put in the chat, I speak up, but some professors get upset when I ask questions. I feel like I am annoying to some of them, so I just wait until tutoring to get a better understanding. Okay, so sometimes you need to ask questions and you feel that the professors get upset with you or that they get annoyed, and so you wait until you can have tutoring. So how does that make you feel sometimes, Jaquita?
It makes me upset sometimes because like just like everyone doesn't learn the same. Not everyone teaches the same, and some people are like they're used to students kind of like just taking something and dissect it until something they understand. But I'm not that kind of student. When it comes to something I have no knowledge on, it's like, you know, they're like, you should have had a class prior to this one, true, but that's not a part of everyone's curriculum to have that prior knowledge, that kind of solid foundation. And it's just troublesome, and it's annoying.
Yeah. Well, your learning style is different. So you like to, like how Garcelle, she said, I agree, I'm a visual and hands-on learner. So our learning styles may conflict with being online, and asking those questions is how you learn. Obviously, it has its drawbacks. So thank you so much for sharing. Let's see. You had to challenge yourself teaching this year. Do you mean by teaching your daughter, Garcelle?
By teaching her a little bit, I had to challenge myself, but by just teaching myself in terms of like sometimes in class, like, it goes so fast that, and like I said, I'm like visual and hands-on. It goes so fast that I have to like kind of go back later on and just like you said, dissect everything and think about it over and over again until I teach myself, because I'm in statistics. So in the class, I feel like he goes by so fast, and literally say like, go to tutoring. And then I'm like, okay, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm just going to sit down and just reteach myself as best as I can. So I've had to really challenge myself to be more organized, and in terms of the way I take notes, and in terms of the way I like keep things in check of what I'm doing every week. So that part I learned a lot.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so we're gonna go to the next. Let's see. It's in my phone, not my phone, my computer. See, mix between phones and computers. All right, so another limitation to online. Some courses are new to the online classroom and may not fully be prepared to be delivered in such a format. So this is where teachers and students are working with difficulties as they come up, and students may not have dependable technology or internet connection. So I'm pretty sure this has been with everyone. As I just mentioned before, I accidentally caught my computer on my phone because sometimes my computer doesn't work and I have to hop on my phone, or vice versa. I'm on my phone, that glitches, and then I have to hop on my computer. So that is a possible limitation for a lot of us, a lot of scholars, a lot of students, and trying to work with online and in person may not have had that concern because you were in person versus having to be on a computer or on your phone. So that is something also to consider with online classrooms not possibly being made for online. So there may be a class or classes that are geared to be online. It has been processed, it has been taught, it has been tweaked and everything. But imagine last year, everything was online. And if it didn't work, you had to figure it out. And so that is something that I thought was possibly a concern for many scholars, many students. I'm a student, as you know before, that is a problem. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts and possibly some examples of how that's happened to you. Let me see. Especially let me see. So funny example is in my home. So as you see my background, um sometimes the internet connection is stronger in one particular room. However, I'm a family of 5 and everyone has their certain spaces. So my sisters, one in her room, one in the other. My mom, she's in the living room. I'm in the family room. My dad is in the spare room that we call the office. And imagine everyone together online. Yeah, dependable internet wasn't a thing. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you have had that experience as well, where you may not have dependable internet connection and how that can be frustrating. And so I can imagine one time I was on the computer and the internet just glitched while I was doing a presentation. And imagine the frustration, the anxiety. It was horrible. But that's pretty much where we were working with. We were working with the difficulties as they came. So now if it happens, we probably still have that anxiety, but it's to be expected. So just an example. All right, so now we're moving to in-person limitations. So we've discussed online. Now we're going to look at in-person and see, possibly we're going to think back to pre-COVID. What were some of the things that you disliked about having classes on campus? So I want you guys to kind of dig back, go back a year and a half, 2 years, and think what were some of the things that you didn't like about having class on campus? Okay, so Yaquita put in the chat parking in the square. Yes, parking. Everyone's favorite pastime. I understand completely. So parking, that's something that a lot of us had to deal with. Anything else? I want you guys to think back to when you had classes on campus. What were some of the things you disliked about having class on campus? Assad put in the chat, back and forth to different offices related to classes. Well, Lysa says she doesn't think she had any. So it depends on the person. Parking, the back and forth between offices, to classes, the commute. So how many of you had to commute from possibly work to school or home to school? Was that difficult for you? So Garcelle said some and none. Aquita said no. All right. Let's see, Max, constant distractions within the classes. Yes. Can you give some examples, Max?
Well, pretty much, from my own experience, when I'm in a class, I like to be able to hear the professor, try to focus in on the information that's being given, so you can actively take notes. It's kind of hard to do that when you've got people that are either bickering within themselves or talking about social issues, not paying attention in the class. Then you have the other individuals that are consistently asking questions and you're not getting all the information you need within the class. So those constant distractions, along with the time restraints that the in-person classes give you, because you're busy running around from one place to the other trying to make sure that you get to the class on time, whereas when you're online, you go at your leisure, there's no rushing, you can focus in on the work and get things done in a timely manner. In class, you're kind of limited to how much you're of the information you get.
Yeah. Definitely the internal distractions, especially maybe possible friend groups. You're talking about something in class, possibly not being able to focus on what the professor's talking about. So I understand. Thank you so much for sharing. The same max with the classmates, Sequita said. Garcelle said the rush between classes may be the only issue. Yeah, that is something also, especially if there's a lot of students on campus. And depending on the time, there may be that rush to get from one to the other. And that is definitely something to think about as what was the limitation. So, all right. So some in-person limitations that I could think of was the distance between school and student daily life. Some of you said that wasn't a concern. Some may have that issue. Another thing would be the cost of gas. So I am originally from California. So imagine the gas prices at that time in my undergrad. Gas prices were about $3.49. So when I moved out here and gas prices were $2.29, that wasn't bad for me at all. I loved it. However, imagine if that wasn't the case and gas prices were high or I wasn't able to afford that price. Some people aren't able to afford that. So that can be a concern for them, a limitation. Sitters. Some individuals have a family and they're not able to find someone to watch their children. So that could be a limitation. Or snacks and food. So imagine you're in that rush. You probably didn't get anything to eat, no snacks, you didn't get anything for lunch or dinner. That can be a limitation versus if you're at home, you have access to your kitchen. You can whip up something really quick or you can grab something real quick. Like I'm at home and I was able to get a banana. Something you can do when you're online versus in person. And another thing I could think of was class sizes. So it may not be a limitation, but it could be a concern for some. Maybe with in person, it limited the amount of people and possibly that helped them learn. Or online, maybe it's opened up so much that there's more people and it's not an intimate classroom where you don't have too many people and you can get what you need from the class. All right. Some in-person limitations would be online can offer another opportunity for those with certain learning styles. So this can go back and forth. So in person, possibly a lot of you mentioned you're hands-on, that works for you. And some people, it doesn't really matter as much. They're able to work with either one. They can do online or in person. But this could be a consideration for both, a limitation for both, that it doesn't work with your learning style. Maybe some prefer participating in activities and some may not speak out, either or, physically when they're in front of somebody or online, as one of you mentioned, when you speak out or you're speaking in a meeting and your face lights up and now everyone, you feel uncomfortable that everyone sees your face at the moment and you're kind of like, so you don't want to speak because you know everyone is going to be looking at you in a sense. So that was something that could be a limitation for either or, not just in person, but online as well. Okay. So some other things that popped up that I noticed also is depending on which you prefer, online versus in person. I wanted to ask, how do you guys feel or think does either or affect your motivation? How was your time management before or after, if you were online or in person? And what was your productivity? So did you have high productivity, low productivity? So I just wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on that.
Hi. So
when we first went to online, um, pretty much everything went kind of down, like all three of those categories, because it was just trying to adjust really to something I haven't done before. Like, I can't wait until this is all over. I don't want to see my computer again until I actually need to. Um, so it was some professors aren't responsive via email. That was terrible. Some students aren't responsive via email. That was terrible. Some people didn't know how to set everything up. And it was just us trying to all get a hang of the new normal.
Yeah. So you're saying for you, motivation, time management, and productivity kind of went down for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is it the same or has it gone up?
Oh, it went up because I saw my test score went down. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to fix this.
Oh, all right. So that lit the fire under you.
Yeah.
So we learn, huh?
Hmm.
So Assad also put in the chat during the situation, the online classes are easy for me, but before the situation, it was a lot easier. So yeah, some people found it easy. Me personally, I found it easy, but I did enjoy in person for some of the reasons you mentioned, a lot of us mentioned during earlier is that in person having someone next to you or being able to ask the professor a question and immediately get a response versus waiting a day or two in an email to receive that answer. That frustration of waiting, possibly if you have an assignment due and you're asking the professor for some input and you don't receive it 2 days later. So that can be frustrating as well. So anyone else have have any thoughts about how online versus in person your feelings of the motivation, time management, and productivity. How did that? Was there a difference? What are your thoughts regarding this? Let's see. For some, I know that time management may have been challenged because now everything is online. So that can be something. Any thoughts or final thoughts as we're coming close to our time ending? So this is kind of that last open discussion for everyone to collect their thoughts and discuss. Yeah, Yaquita, I see your message in the chat. All right. Well, just wanted to see everyone, see how everyone's doing. Like I mentioned before, um, this was pretty much a discussion just to see everyone's thoughts, their inputs, their concerns, and to speak with other scholars to see um, what were some of the pros and cons of in-person versus online and something to become aware of. What I like to do is learning something, becoming aware of something um, increases your opportunities of knowledge. So the more you look into things, the more research you put into things, the more information that you know and can help you make better choices, better decisions for yourself. And so that's why I thought presenting online versus in person, what do you feel regarding both of them? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is this preferred over the other? What are some things that you liked? What are some things you didn't like? I mean, it can be worded completely different, but you rephrase it and you get a different perspective of it. And the more you learn about that topic and your thoughts regarding it and the choices it has, or not the choices, but the choices you have on what you prefer. So, does anyone have any questions as we wrap up?
I have a question I want to ask. Not for you particularly, but for everyone who's here, who's a student. I know next semester, a lot of schools are talking about going back in person. And we have the option to stay virtual. Would they prefer to be in person or just stick to how things are now? Just everyone's personal opinion, and if so, why?
Good question. Asad put in the chat, I would stick to online classes. Max said, I prefer remotely. It's easier to focus on the work. Anthony, same here, but with one exception. So what's your exception? Anthony?
Yeah, I feel like well, I had the option for online classes as well, with my advisor. But I feel like math and like English I could take online, but like one of the classes which is sign language, I feel like is a lot better if I take it in person.
So languages, yeah. Thank you for sharing. What are your thoughts for some who haven't really said anything yet? I'm sorry about the dogs in the background. That is something to consider too. Pets, sounds. I have 3 dogs and none of them are mine. So something you have to consider as well as background noise, internet connections. So, well, thank you guys so much for attending today. If you can, I'll put your name in the chat so that I can submit or have documentation that you attended this meeting. That way you get credit for attending. And thank you guys so much for coming. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your weekend. It's almost Friday. We're almost there. Have a good day, everyone. Okay, for those who want the PowerPoint, I will send the PowerPoint to you, okay? You're welcome. All right.
Good job, Alicia. I do have to go because I have another appointment, but
Okay.
excellent work.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.
All right, take care.
All right. All right, Garcelle, Max, did you guys need anything?
No, I'm fine. I was just listening to Mr. Knight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my advisor. So I was just listening to what he had to say. But thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.